the SOCA Scene, Special Edition, Conversations with Rico Vibes, Special Edition, the SOCA Scene, Conversations with Rico Vibes, the SOCA Scene, Special Edition, Conversations with Rico Vibes, Special Edition, the SOCA Scene, Conversations with Rico Vibes. And it's about 18 minutes after the hour. We got a studio full of folks. It's a special edition of Conversations with Rico Vibes for the SOCA Scene. I always do conversation for the Tanya Mullins show, but this one is with the SOCA Scene YouTube television. And we got a special guest in the building tonight, and I'm going to let her introduce herself. So welcome to the Flavor Radio, a.k.a. the SOCA Scene TV for the night. Welcome.
Welcome, Patricia Henry, President, Atlanta Carnival.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. And yourself?
I'm good. You know, you've been busy for the last at least couple of weeks. I've been on the Facebook page, and every time I go on there, it's something new posted. If I miss an hour, I miss a lot. I mean, she is. Is that you? Actually, you that's on there?
Yes, that's me.
Wow, you're like the real president. The president have other people doing stuff, but you like hands on.
Yes, I'm very hands on.
Okay. How long you been the president?
This year is 6 years.
6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Is it challenging? What is it like?
It is very challenging, and it's a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, and you got to put a lot of time and effort. It takes away from your family, so it's a lot of work.
Okay. Now, the reason why we're here, me as an average person, I'm all over the streets. And I'm hearing a bunch of different things around the streets as to, there's going to be 3 carnivals, 4 carnivals, 2 carnivals. So tell us what exactly is going on with Atlanta Carnival for 2014.
Well, I only know about the official Atlanta Carnival.
Which is which carnival?
Which is our carnival, and that's all I can speak on.
Okay. So, well, before we get into that, why do you think there's a reason why folks don't want to be a part of the official carnival?
I really don't know. You would have to ask them. I mean...
No one gave you a reason?
Different reason. I mean, I know when the split came about, it was just hearsay, she say, so it wasn't coming from the actual source, so okay. I really don't know. No one ever picked up the phone to call me and said, hey, I'm leaving because of such and such. No. Because
when I checked the other website, some 18 bands are on that website, meaning that some 18 bands is with that other carnival.
Are you sure about that? You better check again.
Okay. I didn't check in about a week or so. So up until a week ago, about 18 bands were there. So how many bands are with you that you know of?
We have 11 bands, and we have 3 that's coming from out of state.
Okay. And the bands that are gone, did they give you a reason why they left?
No, they did not.
Okay. Some of the reasons that I'm hearing is that they did not get paid. Is that a reason that you've been given at any point at all?
That is true. Atlanta Carnival, we're a non-profit organization. And the thing about it is that I keep saying we can't wait on just Carnival Day to raise all the funds. What if it rains? What if something goes wrong? Right? So I always stress the fact that we need to put on fundraisers throughout the entire year. Every time we put on a fundraiser, they don't come out and they don't support the fundraiser. So how can we expect one day that we're going to make enough money to pay the artists, buy airline tickets, pay all our contractors? It would never possible. But actually when I started with Atlanta Carnival, I started out as a treasurer. And that year when everything was turned over to me, they had no money. They've been running Atlanta Carnival for years, and there was never no money in their bank account.
So I'm going to stop you right there. 26 years.
Right.
This year is going to be the 26th year.
Yes.
How could you be running a business for 26 years and you have no money? That means somebody's not doing a very good job at running that business.
I guess they had a lot of, just like splits. Like it was Peach Carnival, and then Akbar split, and then it was Akbar. So Akbar is actually, even though it was 26 years of Carnival, Akbar is actually 6 years.
Okay, that's when you took over.
Right. I came on board with Akbar.
Okay, so in the 6 years, you've been operating at a deficit, you're saying?
No. The very first year that I took over as president, we made so much money that we were able to pay up 2 years of debts. 2
prior years of debts. Okay.
And then the following year, it wasn't that great.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And then last year, we still had some issues too. And I mean, it's a gamble.
Right.
You know, Carnival is a gamble. If you don't have any sponsors, we don't have any major sponsors that are bringing in funds. So we just rely on this one day, and relying on one day, you never know what could happen.
Okay.
And I know a lot of people get upset when I make the decision. As a president, you have to make this decision because, remember, it's not like a separate entity running Carnival.
Right.
We're the band leaders that bring Carnival.
Right.
So, for example, if you look at the city ordinance, if you don't pay your contractors, you'll never be able to have Carnival in the city of Atlanta. So I have to make that decision of paying our contractors first, and then if funds are left over, we pay the bands. And
So who are the contractors? Who do you consider contractors?
we have, for example, the staging company,
Right.
sanitation, we have EMS, we have
Police, of course.
police department,
Right.
and they're very expensive.
Right.
So, you know, these are different contractors, people that come in we have to pay to make the carnival successful.
So if I'm going to be devil's advocate, and I'm not on anybody's side. Okay, so let me just make that clear. I'm not on that side, I'm not on this side. I'm a journalist. So if I would be the devil's advocate, one of the most important elements of Carnival are the bands, correct?
Correct.
So if you're the president and you're making a decision to pay who you're going to pay, shouldn't the bands be someplace up at the top?
The bands, and trust me, the goal is to make sure we have enough money to pay the bands.
Right.
That's always the goal. But at the end of the day, if I make the decision of paying the bands and leaving the contractors, we'll never have a carnival again in the city of Atlanta.
Okay.
So I have to make that decision that we pay the contractors so that we could always put on carnival, put on fundraisers and raise money. Because the goal is after carnival, if we put on fundraisers and it's successful, then we'll raise enough money that we could take that money and pay the bands.
Was that ever communicated to the
It
bands?
was always communicated to the bands.
Because that's
But
not
they
what's
never
being
come out and
said.
support. Well,
I'm just saying.
Well, they're going to say what they want to say, but I'm telling
Okay,
you,
okay.
that's always been communicated.
Okay.
We put on a lot of fundraisers throughout the year. They don't come out and support.
Okay. Is there a particular reason why you think personally that they don't support?
I don't know.
Because I went to a couple of the band launching and I see a lot of support there. So
Now they're supporting each other.
Okay.
I mean, when you're going to have a division, you have to prove a point.
Okay.
So if I'm separating from you, I'm going to have to prove a point to the world that, hey, we could do this. So therefore, we're going to support each other now. That makes you think, don't you?
now again, I'm on the outside looking in, and I'm seeing two different carnivals. One of the reasons why I asked you to do this interview is because mainly for folks who are not in the know and want to know what's going on, where should I go on Memorial Saturday. So for those people, they're going to see a flyer that says Carnival in the underground, and they're going to see a flyer that says Carnival at Maurice Brown. How should they make their decision as to where to go? You could say that I'm the official carnival, but if they don't know what's going on, what would make them gravitate towards that carnival or that carnival, in your opinion?
Well, I could tell you this much. The city of Atlanta will never approve 2 carnivals. So they will only have one decision to make.
Okay, so you're saying that if they approve your carnival, then that's really the only carnival going on. There will be no carnival in the underground.
They could have a carnival, but they wouldn't have a parade.
Okay.
And what is a carnival without a parade?
Okay. All right. Now, is there any way that you can come to the table with the other folks and try to get it back to be one carnival?
Okay. For a lot of viewers and listeners that didn't know, when we started out, not last year, the year before, we formed the executive board. There was 5 of us. I had to call a lot of emergency meetings because a lot of things was being done behind my back. We had a treasurer who actually opened a savings account without my knowledge. When I went to the bank to put in the vice president of the treasury name on the account, and I got to the bank, they were there waiting on me, and when I spoke to the representative at the bank, she pulled up the account. That's when I found out. We had someone from the organization, another band leader, that met us at the bank, and she wasn't there yet. And I called on the phone and explained to her when she got there, we were all in the room. She asked them why they did that. They couldn't come up with a reason. So when we had a meeting, I had called another emergency meeting, and the band leaders voted for this individual to step down as treasurer. When the vote, because they said, how can we trust you as our treasurer if you're going to go to the bank and open a savings account with the president not even knowing that?
Was there a particular reason given as to why they felt the need to open that account?
No, there was no particular reason. They felt like they did it, and they did it.
Okay. Continue.
So the band voted to have a step down because, the general body.
Right.
And after that, we were wondering what happened to the vice president. We had meetings, and she wasn't coming to the meetings, and the board of director, Janet Jack, was calling, find out what's going on. We always got an excuse. We didn't know what was going on. Then it was coming into November. It was coming into December, and we were like, wait, something ain't right. And that time, we were looking for a venue because we're actually at the underground.
Right.
And we were in need of a new venue because, they're doing the streetcar project.
Right.
So one of the venues we're looking at was a Morris Brown. So something said to me, call Morris Brown to see if we can look into the venue because we're not hearing from the vice president. She was responsible for finding the venue. So when I placed a phone call to Morris Brown, I found out that there was going to be a meeting that same day in regards to the venue, and I had no idea. So I said to the rep, I'm going to send my secretary over to attend this meeting because I'm the president of the organization, and I had no idea there was a meeting going on today. So when she showed up at the meeting, they found out she was going to be there. They never showed up. So they were getting the Greek Plaza, and we actually wanted the stadium. So that's when I got a phone call, and we did research and found out they had opened up this other organization, ACCBA, and we were not aware.
ACCBA?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Y'all could go ahead and Google it. The good thing about stuff, you don't have to take anything that I say.
Right.
Go to Google. You'll find anything
Right.
out there. I always say, people, everything else out there, go ahead and do your research. Don't take anything that I say for granted. Do your research, and you will find out on your own. So we went, we found the organization, saw the name of these individuals listed there. And we're like, wow. So we kept in contact with Morris Brown, and we started jumping and doing everything. So actually, we never started the plan of Atlanta Carnival till like the close to the end of January last year. So we actually had 3 months to put on the carnival we did last year because we didn't really know what was going on.
Okay.
So after that, we went to the city. The city called me one day when I was at work, and it was like, Patricia, you need to come down here. Immediately, I'm like, what's going on? They said, the other side filed an appeal. I said, appeal, yes, because they were fighting because they wanted the same parade route. They were going to have carnival in the Greek Plaza where we were going to use the stadium. So we went down to the city. They filed an appeal with the mayor's office. We met with the mayor, chief of staff. And I think that filed an appeal too early because you had to get a letter from the chief of staff saying that your parade was denied. So in that meeting, the mayor, chief of staff explained that they're going to give the permit to have whoever has been putting in the application for the last 3 to 5 years. And one of the examples that was given was that if the lady from the Dogwood Festival, she's been doing it for years,
Right.
Eureka decide you want to do Dogwood Festival, they would never consider you because even if you put in the application before her, because she's the person that's been doing the event.
Right.
And that was one of the things that the mayor chief of staff explained. So it was premature when they did that. Don't know what happened after that, but I was getting calls from different organizations pleading with me, asking me if I would allow them to be a part of Atlanta Carnival Carnival. And I thought about the masqueraders because I said, masqueraders don't care about politics. They just want to have fun and they just want to come and enjoy themselves. They just want to. The decision that I made was, hey, I will allow them to come down and be a part of the parade, okay? We did that, figuring, okay, after Carnival, let's see what happened. But what they did, they took it to Facebook, and they started to slander the secretary's name. They started to slander my name, say I caused the organization to lose their 501c3, and they have my picture in newspaper and different stuff. And I was like, oh, my God, this is unbelievable. So with me, they put a letter from the IRS with my address on the website. And I'm like, wait a minute. I have kids. I have a home. And they put my stuff out there. That was weird for me. They drew the line in the sand. And then after that, I found out that they had town hall meetings. I was never invited to these town hall meetings. Contrary to what they said, I never got an email. And I would love for them to show you guys an email where my name was ever placed on there to come to one of these meetings. I was never invited.
Hold on. So let's hold it for a second. So what I saw, I remember seeing it on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And I remember saying to myself, this is really not the forum for this. Mm-hmm. However, it was there. And what was put there was that there's no longer a 501 for the Carnival Committee. Mm-hmm. Is that the truth?
The truth is this. We were getting letters from the IRS. Mm-hmm. The IRS sent a bill. It was like $3,000 something. Right. And when I got that, because what I used to do, I work with the IRS on a daily basis. That's what I do in accounting, okay? So I know how it goes with the IRS. So when I got the letter, I called the IRS to find out why we were getting a bill. Right. The IRS said because when we filed our taxes in 2009, it seems as if we had employees. So I advised them we never had employees. It was all volunteer work. Mm-hmm. So our CPA, Steve Jalal, I called him and told him, hey, you got to fill out the form for the IRS because they think we have employees. He said, okay, no problem. He'll take care of it. So I left it up with the CPA. Right. When those individuals I was telling you about, the treasurer, right. I turned over those bills to her. First of all, they said that how I wasn't aware. I said that the bills never came to my home. Right. So how did they get it then? Did they come to my home and take up those bills? How would they get it?
So you gave it to them? Thank
you. Okay. I turned it over to them. Okay. So they called the CPA, and he advised her exactly what needed to be done. She came to the meeting and said she filed the taxes, she did whatever was needed to be done. So we were under the impression it was taken care of. Until, I think, end of March, going into April, we got another letter stating that our 501c was revoked. I was like, what? This can't be serious. Uh-huh. So I said to Karen, the secretary, call the IRS, find out what is going on, because this doesn't make any sense. Uh-huh. And if you go to the irs.gov, and if you click a nonprofit organization, it clearly states that a nonprofit organization can go up to 3 years without filing a tax return. So even though we didn't file tax returns, that last year would have been the year that we needed to file, because we had that grace period of 3 years. Right. But that wasn't the problem. The problem was with having employees, and the information wasn't being done and sent over to the IRS. So when Karen called the IRS, they said it was revoked because we had employees, and because of that 2009, it caused us to be with the other couple of years. So when I called myself to the IRS, and I spoke to the gentleman, I have everybody's ID number, because when you call the IRS, mm-hmm. they give you the ID number. Right. And when I spoke to him, he explained to me what happened. So we went back, we filed all our tax return, and I also paid $650-something to have our 501c3 retroactively reinstated from the date that they took it away from us. So we sent in everything, and you know the IRS, they're behind. So I think the last time when we checked, they received all our tax returns, so we're up to date with our tax return. Right. We're just waiting for them now to retroactively reinstate it. And it's going to happen, it's just that they're behind.
Okay. So you're operating without one right now?
I would say we operate without one, because everything has been submitted to the IRS. Okay. Whatever they told us that we needed to do to have it reinstated, mm-hmm. everything has been done.
Now, in preparing for this interview, I asked a lot of questions to various people, mm-hmm. and there was a lot of, you'd be surprised how many comments people have about the Carnival in Atlanta, mm-hmm. about yourself, about the whole organization. Mm-hmm. One of the questions, is it true that we kind of think truck driver was smoking weed on the route?
To be honest with you, I wasn't even aware of it. I saw it on Facebook, where it was all over Facebook. Uh-huh. And Sharon Ali, who was the band leader, she actually reached out to me and she denied the allegations. Okay? So based on the band leader denying the allegations, I wasn't aware of it. Uh-huh. Until I went to my recap meeting, and the police, who's Sergeant Bradham from the Atlanta Police Department, stated that the truck driver was indeed pulled over for smoking marijuana.
By the police?
Yes.
Was he cited?
He was not cited, and he was not given a fine, and no arrest was made. And that was one of my fights, because I was like, was the arrest made? Right. Was he cited? And none of that was done.
Obviously, that's not a good look for Carnival.
Exactly.
or for the organization.
Exactly. So that's one of the things that a lot of the rules we have changed a lot of the rules this year pertaining to Atlanta Caribbean Carnival.
Now, again, we got to go back to the separation because, like it or not, it's going on. There's a separation going. There's one side and there's another side. What do you think this does for Carnival on a whole in Atlanta?
I mean, it's bad because, as you can see, Miami, Broward, then they were able to come together and make it one. Now, Atlanta Carnival has reached a level it has. Nobody trying to hear the politics. What this will do to Atlanta Carnival is deter people from coming. Because people are like, you know what, we ain't going back to Atlanta no more. Nobody got time for that. You know that.
Right.
You know, nobody care about no politics. What we care about is that people could come to Atlanta, enjoy the Caribbean culture, have a good time, no tragedy, and go back home, be safe, and come back again. All we really care about is just, we're about mass and music and having fun. We're not about, people are more worried about the money part of it, the money aspect, the business side of it. That's what they're worried about. We're more worried about we could be able to pay the contractors, pay our mass bands, and pay everybody, and we could come back and have Carnival again.
What assurances can you give the mass band? Because, again, it's a big issue. If bands are performing, they're putting out money for costumes and all that, and at the end of the day, if they won, they're not getting paid. What assurances can you give the bands this year that will make them a little bit more comfortable that they'll be paid?
Okay, one of the assurances is this, and we got to look at this first. Look at this. Take, for example, Miami.
Right.
A first year band on the road is $3,000.
Right.
In Atlanta, it's $150. Okay? They only give a certain amount of wristbands. For example, in Atlanta, a mass band will say they have 400 people, right? I give you 400 wristbands. That's $4,000 you're costing the organization. Whereas no other carnival does that. Then I have mass bands that tell me I have 150. Coming down the road, they don't even have 50 people. Okay, so where's the other 100 wristbands that I gave you? You know where those end up every year? People at the gates selling those wristbands. Selling the wristbands. And what I did was I changed the wristbands. I put a different color for the mass bands and a different color for the gate. And that's how we found out. Even this year, last year, we caught people selling the wristbands at the gate for $10. We've been going to this for years. They don't turn back in those wristbands. They give them to people to sell at the gates. So how can you expect so much from an organization when in turn you're cheating the organization?
But let me ask you, unless we've been living under a rock, you hear issues in other cities about Carnival, but nothing to this caliber.
No, you're not living on a rock. You hear issues, and there's a lot of issues with other carnivals.
Right.
And if you're not a part of Carnival, you would know those issues.
Okay.
Me, as the president of Atlanta Carnival, I have ties with all the other carnivals, so I know their issues. But the good thing about it, they have agreement that everybody signs that you can discuss what take part in those carnival. And that's one of the things that I've implemented this year for Atlanta Carnival. Every one of our mass bands have to sign that agreement because whatever happens there, it stays there within the organization.
So hold on. Again, I'm going to play devil's advocate. Does that mean if they didn't get paid, they can't come out and say they didn't get paid?
No, because, you can't, because whatever happened to organization. We trust me, Rico, we want to make sure that the mass band gets paid, okay? It's a business for them, but at the same time, if you win prizes, you do deserve to get paid.
Right.
So going back to your question you asked me earlier, one of the things that we did this year for Atlanta Carnival, which we haven't done, is add more events. Right. And the reason why we add more events is so that we could have more revenue coming in so that we could pay everyone that we owe. And all those mass bands that we owed, we actually sent each one of them an invoice showing exactly what we owe, and when funds become available to the organization, you will be paid.
Even if they're no longer a part of the official.
Of course.
Okay.
They won.
You hear it. They are going to be paid.
Yeah, they won, so they deserve their payment. I'm never against that.
Okay. All right. What are you doing for this year's carnival? I know I saw the flyer you posted on Saturday. We actually posted on the DaSocaScene. Again, there are always going to be critics. Folks are saying, we can't get the A-listers for Atlanta's Carnival. A-listers, I don't know who are the A-listers or who are the B-listers and who are the C-listers. I'm not going to say who they think they are. But did you do your best to get the folks that you got for the 2014 Carnival?
Okay, I don't know who are the A-listers, but check other carnivals. They don't have a list that I do. Check Miami Carnival or the other top carnivals. Their lineup cannot match my lineup. You better believe that. Okay. Now, what I said in the past, I work with artists that works with me. I have a certain budget, okay? The expectation is get Marshall. Marshall is $50,000. That's past my budget. I can't afford Marshall Montano. If I get a sponsor and wants to pay that money, then yeah, we'll put him on Atlanta Carnival.
Right.
Get Fayan and Bungie. I can't afford their price either. It's too high for Atlanta Carnival. Are they going to play from 12 noon to 10 p.m. at night? Do you really want to hear one group play all day? No. So the thing is, it's not about Trinidad. It's about all of us. For me, we're all Caribbean people. It's about, I don't care if Jamaica is reggae. It's about getting Jamaica involved. It's about getting everybody involved. So I'm a Caribbean person. What I do is trying to get an artist from every Caribbean island. And I get the top artists in that island. And I get the ones who want to work with me. Because it's about the relationship that you have with these artists. It's about building relationship. The relationship that I have with those artists, nobody has that type of relationship that I do. I could get an artist, I don't have to give them $1. That's the kind of relationship that I have with them and the loyalty that I have with them.
Right, right. Once again, this is the Soca Scene, and this is Conversations with Rico Vibes. We're talking with Miss Patricia Henry, the president of ACCBA. What's going to happen beyond this year? What do you think? Or what would you like to see? What are your goals beyond this year for Atlanta's Carnival?
Well, the goal for us, and I would like to see, is that we generate enough revenue that every year we could pay all our contractors, pay our mass bands, and have enough revenue in the account that would never go forward in a deficit. Right. We'll be stable enough that whatever we have planned, we'll have sufficient funds to do that. And that's the goal.
Okay. Now, you have an organization, there was rumors about secretary being accused of fraud and all that stuff. The folks that are in your organization now are folks that are trustworthy, are folks that people can look them up and see everything is okay with them?
That's so funny, right? They talk about the secretary accused of being fraud.
Right.
Actually, it was identity theft.
Okay.
And a lot of us go through identity theft. Because I work in the tax field, and I've seen people that come in every day with identity theft and has to use a PIN number because somebody used their social or, for some other reason. Right. However, they would have never known unless she told us. She was upfront with it. She didn't deny it, and they never had a problem with it.
But let me stop you for a second. She told you after it was brought to your attention?
No. Okay. She told us before it was even brought to our attention.
Okay. All right. Because that's what's being circulated, again, on the streets, where most of the stuff is being circulated, that once she was caught, she admitted.
Caught? When you say caught, clarify.
Caught meaning that someone went and dug up information and said that Patricia has and the word they used was convicted, identity theft person working as the secretary, as the treasurer. And at that point, she then came forward and said, yes, this is the case. Okay, but the case has not been tried yet. I'm just repeating what's being said.
Let me reach out. I remember clearly I had gotten a phone call from a past president of the organization that told me about the incident with the treasurer, with the secretary. So I confronted her in front of the entire group. Right. And she told us it was identity theft, and she brought it before, and it was brought before the general body, because you have to let the general body know these things. Of course. And everybody was fine with it. Okay. Going back to what you said about it being on Facebook. Right. Half of those people that put her information out there on Facebook, you put them in Google, and you tell me what you come up with.
Okay. So, once again, for the 2014 Carnival, we're under contention that it's only going to be one parade.
Exactly.
If those folks wants to come to the table, what do they need to do? I mean, maybe they're listening now. So, we want to make sure that we have unity. And, sometimes we get our personal feelings involved, but let's just take our personal feelings out of it for a second. I know you've been slandered. I know your name been dragged to the mud. But for the sake of unity and for the sake of Atlanta's Carnival, if they want to come to the table, what do you think they need to do?
I know, and let my dear mother's soul rest in peace. She would always say to me, you have to really think through stuff before you take actions. And I think if they had done that, it would have been this way today. Because the fact that they tried to bring another carnival against our carnival, and I still allowed them to come down the road. Not only did I allow them to come down the road, they tried to sabotage me. Because one of the things that I was told was that they told the police department that, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. The organizer didn't tell us where to go, where the parade started, what to do. Then I was actually at the festival village when I got a phone call that people were everywhere. Even though we gave them strict directions where the parade route would begin. People were at Civic Center, they were at Ralph, they were all over the place. So I in turn now have to leave the festival village, go over to parade route to find out what was going on. When I got there, the person in charge of the parade, I could not find that individual. There was nowhere to be found. One of the mass band, one of the leaders told me, oh, there was bomb threat. I said, bomb threat? They said, yes, it was some type of bomb threat. Then someone else said they got text messages that the parade route had changed. It was just chaotic. And we found that out after the fact. So it's not that we tried to let them come down in the parade. They also tried to sabotage the parade. And then right after that, they took this whole thing to Facebook, which you clearly said it wasn't the forum. At that time, with me even giving you the opportunity to come down and be a part of our parade, you should have at least say, hey, Pat, how about let's after Carnival, sit down and talk and see how we could come about this.
Right.
They went on another radio station, and I know if you have it on your list of questions to ask me, but since we're there, I'll go there. They went on another radio station and stated that I called the police.
Yes,
but
that's on my list of things to ask. So let's get into it. Yes, it was said that you called the police.
Right. Now, the thing is, the way they put it out there wasn't the truth at all. They had those town hall meetings.
Right.
And we were advised that they wanted to come and impeach on our meeting. And they were going to cause trouble. So what I did, we had the police there.
But wasn't it a public meeting? Couldn't anybody?
No, you have to be a member of the organization.
Okay. All right.
That's why you have membership.
I was told that it was an open meeting.
It was not an open meeting.
When the folks got there, the doors were barred and they were even threatened to be arrested.
Really?
That's what I was told. So we're here now to clear the air.
You get it from the source.
Okay, go ahead.
So based on what I was told that they were trying to do, we made sure we had the police there.
Right.
It was two individuals that got there.
Right.
It was Marcy Connell and Charles Baker. Those were the two that showed up at the meeting. And the police advised them that they could not enter the meeting because they were part of the organization. And they have letters that was received from us that they were no longer part of the organization.
So why did they come to the meeting?
Exactly.
I'm asking you, why do you think they came to the meeting?
I can't answer that question.
Okay.
So that's something that you have to ask them, Rico. So make sure you put that there to ask them.
Okay. All right. So let's go back, because I don't think you answered a couple of questions, but I don't think you answered the original question, which is what can they do to come to the table? Are you saying that there's no coming to the table now?
I'm about masqueraders.
Yes.
Okay? So my thing is, if the masqueraders would love to play mass, I don't have a problem. We have 11 band members. They could reach out to any of our band members and be a part of the group. As far as the band leaders go, I will not allow them to take part in Atlanta Carnival Carnival because they tried to sabotage me last year, and they drew the line in the sand when they went on Facebook and tried to scandalize my name, and when they put my home address on there where I have my children living, that's when you draw the line in the sand. I take things like that very seriously.
So that essentially means that there are going to be two festivals at some point, because if you're saying that these 18 bands cannot be a part of...
Everyone needs to read the city ordinance. There will never be two festivals. Okay. You can have two festivals, 2 different dates. No, not the same day. The city would never allow 2 parades in the city of Atlanta on the same day.
Okay. So what I'm hearing and what I'm gathering is that the other organization, because I'm going to interview them as well, and I'm going to get their opinion as to what is being said here, can no longer ever be a part of the official, quote unquote, Atlanta's Carnival?
No.
Okay. Anything else you want to say?
All I want to say is that everyone come out to Atlanta Caribbean Carnival. Come and have fun. Go to our website for information, www.atlantacaribbeancarnival. I thank all my brass bands who believed in me and stood by me. And, you know, if it wasn't for them, this would not have been possible. A lot of people don't know the hard work and effort it takes to bring a carnival. You can look at it and think it's simple, but it's a lot of work and dedication that's put into it. And they could have been, I have mass bands on my side that haven't got paid, but they understand the situation. They know what it takes, you know, what it means to be involved. And on that side, I know they say we own 9 mass bands. We don't own 9 mass bands on that side because I have the invoices.
How many mass bands do you own?
Let me, off the top of my head, I think it's about 6.
Okay. And you assured us that they're going to get paid.
I said off the top of my head, it's about 6. Right. That hasn't gotten paid on their side.
Right. And you have assured us that when you get the money, they will get paid.
Of course. I keep telling you, my goal is always to make sure I'm never against that. You win, you deserve your prize money.
Okay.
That's not a problem. I wish that every Atlanta Carnival is successful, that everyone gets paid. That was never our intention. But like I said, I have, as the president, I have to pay the contractors because if we don't, you know what? I could pay the mass bands and don't pay the contractors. It's just that we never have carnival in the city of Atlanta. Would you love that, Rico?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. Talk about the festivities leading up to Carnival. It's Memorial Day weekend, of course. First of all, let's talk about the press conference. Okay. When is that going to be?
The press conference is scheduled for April 5th, and as you know, I announced our Grand Marshal. Okay. We have Councilman C.T. Martin, who is our Grand Marshal, and we have Roger Bob. For those of you who don't know, he owns Bobcat Fibs. He actually was the executive producer for Tyler Perry, and I think he produced 12 of Tyler Perry films. Right. Yeah, so they're really excited to be a part of it, and we have a lot of queens. I know Miss Think is international, reach out. Right. She's going to be a part of it. Miss Caribbean USA. We have Miss Florida, Miss Cuba, America, and we have a couple more queens that's going to be a part of it. We have the VI Shaka Zulu. They're coming all the way from the Virgin Islands to be a part of it. Okay. So they're so excited. We have another group from North Carolina. So, you know, parade is going to be really huge. And
is it the same route this year as it was last year?
We're working in it. We're working it because we're working with the police department because we had a lot of concerns with the parade route last year. And I'm surprised you never had that question in there that they said that where they accused me of lying about the parade route. No. People with common sense would know, how can someone lie about a parade route? I'm going to tell you, go down Peachtree when you're supposed to go down Martin Luther King. That sound like common sense? No. The police department would never allow us to have another carnival in the city of Atlanta. Yes, the parade route was changed several times. The parade route was changed several times by the police department because they were the ones actually helping us with the route because of the construction that was going on with the streetcar project. And that's one of the problems we're having again, the streetcar project. So we're working out the fine details. Now, they had, what was the hotel? The Marriott. The Marriott had concerns with the guests getting to the hotel. So we had to, I think we used 2 lanes. Yeah, so, and then we had to go down the wrong street on Peachtree. But the ending location was a problem because we didn't know there was graduation, I think at Georgia, one of those places around there, they had graduation. So it was a lot of traffic. So I had concern with public safety. One of the things, too, that morning, we had a lot of signage up. Right. And someone walked around and picked up all our signs, too. It was a lot of things that went on that day. Yeah, so what we did differently this year that I want the viewers to know, we are concerned with everyone's safety because I never, ever want anyone to come to Atlanta Carnival. 2 things, be arrested or there's tragedy. So we have hired additional police officers beside the Atlanta Police Department to help us along the parade route this year.
Okay, that's a good thing. One of the questions as well is or concerns is, why does Atlanta Carnival go outside of Atlanta to get their hosts?
Oh, how to answer that? I mean, we take submission. So if someone is interested, they could always reach out. But I actually met Wasi, I think was in Miami Carnival, and he did a great job, Okay. I like how he engaged the audience, get everyone involved, and then when there was a time in between, he got the crowd going. Right. So one of the things that I do, because, I support all the carnivals because they support us. Right. So I travel to all these different carnivals, and I look at their hosts, I look at these stuff. So I look at people that are interactive and, how they could get the crowd hype and get things. So we do go out and look for stuff like this. That's how I came across Wasi, and I know Kevy Kev, of course. He's a part of us too. And Kevy Kev actually reached out to me, wanting to do it. Giselle, the Wasi one, she worked with us a year. Last year I had actually reached out to her, but I think she was doing Orlando. Choice actually told me he was interested, so I told him this year I'll give him a blind. I wanted to get up there with Kevin and Wasi. Let me see what Choice could do. I mean, if anyone interested, they could always reach out. I always give people opportunities. Okay.
Once again, it's Rico Vibes for Conversations with Rico Vibes for the SOCAScene TV. Now, I hope you're going to support the SOCAScene.
Of course.
Okay. We just want to make sure that we get your support, of course. And we're looking forward to the Carnival 2014 and beyond. And we want to wish you continued success. And like I said, I'm going to interview the other side and see what they got to say. And hopefully, I'm still hoping that we can come to some kind of resolution. Because at the end of the day, it's for the sake of Carnival, it's for the sake of the culture. So I'm hoping we can come to some kind of resolution.
No, Rico Vibes. I'll say this. Yes. Okay. Last year, when this other side was fighting against me, and when a lot of the community leaders reached out to me, one of my first questions to those community leaders, where were you when all this was going down? Why didn't you reach out and stop them? Right. Where were you when all this stuff was going on Facebook? Why didn't you intervene to say, hey, that's not nice, that's not, Nobody did anything. But then it's going to be Pat is the bad person. If Pat doesn't allow them to come down the road for Carnival 2014, everybody's going to blame me. I think my back is broad enough. I could take it.
I'm sure you got security guards, right? You have security.
I don't need security.
You don't need security.
I don't need security. The thing is, where were all these community leaders to step in and said, hey, guys, this is not the right way to go about it. How about sit and meet with each other? Nobody stepped in. When they were doing all the wrong, nobody stepped in. But then when it's time to go down the road, that's when everybody want to step in. To me, I don't look at that as, being someone that really want to squash what's going on. Where were you when all this was going down? Why you never call me? Why you never pick up my phone and call me? But then you're going to call me to say, hey, Pat, can you please do this? I did it last year. And look what I got. Now, Rico, if that was you, what would you do?
You know what? I was just about to say, I'm looking at you and I can see the hurt.
Of course.
I can see the pain. But again, to be on the neutral side, I think we just need to come to some kind of agreement, because it's not going to be good for the city. It's not going to be good for Carnival on a whole, and I think it's just not going to be good overall. So I'm trying to be, an advocate to make this happen.
I say this a lot of times. I say, you look at me, you see the hurt, you see the pain.
Yeah.
I have families and I have kids. My kids are on Facebook. My family on Facebook too. Okay? I have people that love me and care about me the same way. So when you go there and you do stuff like that, just like any celebrity out there, when you go there and you put negative stuff, they all have feelings, they all have hurt. People will say negative publicity is good publicity. And you know what? I thank them for some of those negative publicity, because everybody seems to know who Patricia Henry is, because I'm a person that stays behind the scene. Right. When I started with Carnival, nobody even knew who I was, because I'm sure none of you guys ever even see me at a party because I don't party.
Right.
You know, I'm always working on my computer. Work, computer, that's what I do. I stay behind the scenes and, you know, do the hard work. But you know, you got to think about people too. You know, we have blood run through our veins. We all have feelings. So you can, and it doesn't stop. Up to this day, it does not stop. It's still going on Facebook. So you want to tell me people want to work with me and they still putting negative stuff out there on Facebook? It's still going on. And I'm a person, you can't call me and tell me because I don't want to hear. I block them for a reason because I'm not into negativity. I'm about positiveness. And if you don't have anything positive to come and tell me, I don't want to hear it. Don't call my phone and tell me anything negative or anything that anybody's saying about me. I'm not interested. If you're going to call me with something good, call me with a good advice. And this is something that I said to everybody. And I go back to my old boss, Joe, and I always say this. He always had a sign on his door, and it says, if you have a problem and you don't have a solution, don't come knocking at my door. So every time I would go into my boss's office, and I had a problem, I always made sure I had a solution. And because of that, it gave me a lot of bonus and a lot of promotions, right? In retrospective, what I'm trying to say is, if you have a problem, have a solution. Most people these days, they have a problem, but they don't have a solution. They say that I'm doing something wrong with Atlanta Carnival. Okay, I'm doing something wrong with Atlanta Carnival, but then you form a separate entity, name it close to the organization, use a logo close to the organization, and try to confuse the massive. I've had sponsors that have reached out to me personally by working with me with years, and they've gone to sponsors and tried to tarnish my name, telling sponsors they're going to blackball me and different stuff like that. And these sponsors reach out and I said, you know what, we want to do business with them, because if you're going to do business, you got to go to a sponsor and you're going to tell a sponsor, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm going to do, and blah, blah, blah. You got to sell yourself to that sponsor. Ain't no sponsor trying to hear nothing bad about another entity. It doesn't work in this business. Right. So it's a lot of things that's going on behind the scenes that you guys might not be aware of, and that's one of the reasons why I'm standing my ground.
You know what, and I commend that. I commend that. But again, I'm still trying to make it aware. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just not a good thing. You know, it's not a good thing. And I understand, and I understand your point. And I actually support your point for standing your ground. But in terms of the whole entire culture of Carnival, and for the whole entire city of Atlanta, it's just not a good thing.
If the shoe was on the other foot, I wonder if they allow me to bring my mass bands down the street. Do you think so, Rico? I don't think so. But, yeah, I should have been like, yeah. I should have been like, yes, we got rid of her finally. I heard it. Yeah, she needs to step down. It's about time she stepped down. I remember when I came.
Do you think if you step down, this would happen? Do you think it's you personally that they have an issue with?
It's personal. Trust me. It's personal.
Okay.
Okay? And a lot of people have noticed that. I've had mass bands that they've reached out to and said, hey, you all need to come over here and be a part of us. And those same mass bands were like, wait a minute. When Patricia was saying, let's all come together and put on fundraisers, you guys never supported her. But it's so funny now that you're all over here, y'all supported each other. So they don't realize people think about stuff like that.
Gotcha.
You know, you have to really think and look, wait a minute. All these people couldn't get along. But all of a sudden, now, they're all getting along. It doesn't make any sense. It makes one wonder.
For information, for the folks who are looking at this who don't live in the city, or folks who do live in the city but don't know where to get information about the official carnival, where can they go?
They can go to www.atlantacarnival.org. We also have a Facebook page, Atlanta Caribbean Carnival. And we're going to have our flyer. I know you said they talk about the main acts. Our flyer ain't done yet. We come in. Oh, no.
So there's more acts to be added.
It clearly says more artists to be added.
I saw that.
We still got surprises too for you. We still got surprises. So it's not completed yet. That's just some of our artists. One of the things that I'm working behind the scene is with one of a major television crew right now. They want to broadcast live on the parade route. I'm not going to say who it is yet, but it's huge.
That would be a step. So, that would be a step up.
Yes. So, my goal is the Caribbean community is a way of carnival.
Right.
We all grew up with carnival, new carnival. What I'm doing differently that has made Atlanta Carnival reach the heights it has reached as far is that I'm targeting the American community. That's where I'm going into and targeting. Because they need to know about our culture.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
you see in Trinidad Carnival, I see different celebrities there. You see how much fun they have, you know, just seeing the different culture.
Right.
So I'm tapping to the American community now, getting them involved, and that's where my target goal is right now.
So what can we, you know, I mean, you always say, what can you do? What can we do to assist, you know, we as the Caribbean community, we as Caribbean journalists, we as Caribbean radio stations, what can we do, in your opinion, to try to push Carnival more?
Sure, I would love everybody to come on board and help out. I mean, there's so much that you guys can do. Like, big up to DaSocaScene. I see you guys promote our flyers. You have everything out there. You know, set up interviews with our mass bands. Right. You know, come out, show your support when we have events, promote it, push it out there. Because even though we use our local Caribbean radio station and we use V103 and Hot 107.9, a lot of people in Atlanta still don't even know there's an Atlanta Caribbean Carnival. So that alone says we have a lot of work still to do.
Got you. I want to thank you. I mean, I think you've been very candid, very open, you know, and I try to stay as neutral as possible.
But I told you already you could ask me anything, Rico.
And I did, you know. I mean, obviously I wasn't going to get personal. There's a lot of personal things out there, and I'm not going to get into that. That's not how I do business. That's not how I do interviews. But I want to thank you for being as candid as you can. I want to thank you for being as open and firm, although I'm trying to get you to, you know, waver just a little bit for the sake of the culture. But I thank you. And I do appreciate you being here today. And
thank you guys for having me. And just, you know, just keep pushing and let your viewers know we're going to have fun and just come out and support.
There you go. Thank you once again. It's yours truly, Rico Vibes for the SOCAScene TV. Log on to DaSocaScene.com. The SOCAScene Special Edition, Conversations with Rico Vibes. Special Edition, the SOCAScene Conversations with Rico Vibes. The SOCAScene Special Edition, Conversations with Rico Vibes. Special Edition, the SOCAScene Conversations with Rico Vibes.